Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick. I'm going to say this. What a movie. Probably one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. Now, I did not say the best movie, my favorite movie of all time, but just one of the greatest movies I have ever seen in my life. Now, I'm not the biggest, and I was not the biggest Top Gun fan. As you'll hear on next week's podcast, I put Top Gun in the top 5 80s movies because I do truly think it is a top 5 80s movie. But for me, it's not my favorite. So when the initial trailer come out, didn't really care. Because Top Gun for me was just another movie. It was all right. It's a little overrated, in my opinion. But Top Gun Maverick comes out. People are talking, critically acclaiming this movie, saying this is way better than the first one. They're like, this beats any movie that you'll ever see this year. Beats it out. Top Gun Maverick is the movie. Way too much hype, in my opinion. With this much hype, I probably would have waited until it come out. Like you can stream it or buy it on Apple or wherever. I would have waited because too much hype for me. I've been peer pressured into hypeness way too many times for me to realize, crap, it's too hype. We'll get to the Jurassic World Dominion shit later. That's a whole nother story with Jurassic World. You guys can tell I didn't like it. But Top Gun Maverick, I will say, like I said, I wasn't going to watch it, but my parents were the ones to show me the original Top Gun when I was younger. And they're like, we want to go see Top Gun Maverick. I was like, it looks pretty good. It's got my boy Miles Teller in it. Tom Cruise is looking good as all, he's looking young. That Scientologists keep him young and fresh and ready to roll. Guys, this movie is everything people hyped it up to be. It is the greatest sequel that I have ever seen. This sequel, Top Gun Maverick, beats out the original Top Gun. Miles Teller steals the show. Tom Cruise steals the show. They could have went two ways with this movie. The one way they could have went would have been terribly the wrong way to go, and I believe they chose the perfect way to go with this sequel. And man. I am so glad they did it. There was the humor that was in it stuck. It was funny. They tested it beforehand before they just threw it in the movie. They knew it needed to combat with the original, so they threw in elements of the original with elements of the new with the new revised version, the sequel. The original came out in '86, so we're talking 35 years later, we finally get to see what happens to Pete or to Maverick. We get to see what happens to Ice. And let me tell you something. I teared up once and I cried another time. So, if you enjoy the original Top Gun just a little bit, if you're like, it's a good movie. It's not your favorite. You should still go see Top Gun Maverick because I'm telling you, once I got home from watching Maverick, I came home, popped my 4K version of Top Gun into my 4K player, and I watched it with a whole new realization of, oh wow, I understand how this story, this iconic story movie ends with Maverick. I don't think there should be a Top Gun 3. I think that they should leave it like it is. They should leave it alone. I think they should stick it with Top Gun. 35 years later, Top Gun 2. That's it. Maybe in 20 years, if the second one holds up as much as the first one has held up, maybe do a third one. But I don't see within the year, the 2 to 3 year mark, why they should put out Top Gun 3. I mean, I may watch it, but I don't think that they should release a third one just yet, if ever. But man, it's hard for me. I don't think I've ever done a podcast or made a list of movies that get 5 out of 5 on here, because I come on here and I say, 5 out of 5, but I'm always hyped up because I do them right after the podcast in my vehicle on the way home or wherever. But I had a day. I saw this Saturday night. I'm doing this Sunday night. I had a day to really simmer down and really think about it. And the movie, when the movie starts, I will say this quickly, because we're running up on time here. When the movie starts, about 15 minutes in, I go, oh man, are we really going to go this route? I was like, people have already overhyped it. But then, once that kind of 15, 20, and it really gets into the actual story, when the one thing that happens, that's supposed to happen, that makes the story what it is, happens, I'm telling you, it is on a jet to outer space. It is damn good. I give Top Gun Maverick 4.5 out of 5. This movie was amazing. This movie was everything I wanted. You can want as a fan of a movie in a sequel. They did it with Terminator 2, but it was not up to par with Terminator 2 is better than Terminator. We've all figured that out. The Dark Knight is better than Batman Begins. We've decided that. But there's a certain point where you go, sure, it's better, but what's more nostalgia? The first one. I think it's the opposite here. I think people are going to look past the first Top Gun. Now, well, Top Gun, when this comes out, because a lot of people aren't going to go to theaters to watch it, but once it comes out, and people that have not seen Top Gun see Top Gun Maverick, which I think, by the way, you don't have to necessarily see the first Top Gun, because in the middle of Top Gun Maverick, they do give you a little bit of flashback. I will say that, keep it spoiler free. They do give you flashback at certain points of what happens, which I think is needed if you watched it in '86 and you never rewatched it, but you know what happens, but you're just not clear on what happens. I think that was great there. But what I'm saying is, I think when Maverick comes out on streaming, Blu-ray, 4K, whichever, once that releases, it's going to make the first Top Gun even bigger. But I still think Top Gun Maverick is going to be the most superior of the two. Just because the second one outbeat the first one by 1,000 miles. I laughed, I cried, I cheered, I cringed. Not cringe as in a bad way, but I covered my face as I can't see what's going to happen, because I mean, 4.5 out of 5 for Top Gun Maverick. If you have a chance to see it while it's still in theaters, because it is projected to be released in August, so you don't really have that much longer left to watch it in the theater. I suggest you go within maybe the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks if we're lucky. Go see Top Gun Maverick. 4.5 out of 5. The hype, people, the hype train is worth it. The hype train is worth it. Trust me.